First contact, the arrival. The day Earth stood still began like any other. Dr. Samantha Chen sipped her coffee, her eyes fixed on the vast array of monitors in NASA's control room. As lead astrobiologist on the SETI project, she had spent countless hours searching for signs of extraterrestrial life. Little did she know, today would be the day everything changed. A sudden burst of activity on her screens caught her attention. "What the?" she muttered, leaning in closer. The readings were off the charts, unlike anything she had ever seen before. Her heart raced as she realized the implications. This was it. This was first contact. Across the globe, in a small diner in rural Kansas, former Air Force pilot Jack Harrison was enjoying a slice of apple pie when the TV behind the counter erupted with breaking news. The grizzled veteran's jaw dropped as he watched shaky footage of an enormous, sleek spacecraft entering Earth's atmosphere. Within hours, the alien vessel had positioned itself in low Earth orbit, its massive form visible to the naked eye even in daylight. Panic gripped the world as governments scrambled to respond. Military jets scrambled, nuclear submarines surfaced, and world leaders huddled in emergency sessions. Dr. Chen found herself whisked away to a top-secret facility, her expertise suddenly in high demand. As she walked briskly down sterile corridors, flanked by armed guards, she couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was the moment she had prepared for her entire career. Meanwhile, Jack Harrison received an unexpected phone call. His former commanding officer's voice crackled over the line. "Harrison, we need you back. Your experience with experimental aircraft could be crucial." Without hesitation, Jack agreed. He may have hung up his uniform years ago, but the call of duty still resonated within him. As the world held its breath, the alien spacecraft made no aggressive moves. Instead, it began broadcasting a signal on all frequencies, a repeating pattern that scientists quickly recognized as prime numbers, a universal language of mathematics. Dr. Chen worked tirelessly with a team of linguists and cryptographers to decipher the alien message. After 72 sleepless hours, they had their breakthrough. It's an invitation," she announced to the room full of military brass and government officials. "They want to establish peaceful communication." The decision to respond was not taken lightly. Heated debates raged in the United Nations and behind closed doors in the White House. But in the end, the choice was clear. Humanity had to take this leap. A carefully crafted message was sent back to the alien vessel, accepting their invitation for dialogue. The response came swiftly: coordinates for a landing site in a remote area of the Sahara Desert. As preparations for the historic meeting got underway, Dr. Chen found herself selected as part of the welcoming committee. Her expertise in xenobiology made her an invaluable asset in this unprecedented situation. Jack Harrison, too, was tapped for the mission, his steady nerves and quick thinking deemed essential for whatever challenges lay ahead. The day of the landing arrived, and the world watched with bated breath. A small delegation of Earth's finest minds and bravest souls stood waiting in the scorching desert heat. Among them, Samantha Chen clutched her tablet, her knuckles white with anticipation. Jack Harrison stood nearby, his hand resting casually on the sidearm he hoped he wouldn't need to use. A low hum filled the air as a smaller craft detached from the mothership above. It descended gracefully, kicking up a swirl of sound as it touched down mere yards from the human delegation. For a moment, nothing moved. The only sound was the whisper of the desert wind and the rapid beating of human hearts. Then, with a soft hiss, a door on the alien craft slid open. A figure emerged, tall and lithe, its form obscured by the bright desert sun. As it stepped forward, gasps rippled through the human crowd. The alien was humanoid in shape, but its skin shimmered with an iridescent blue hue. Large, almond-shaped eyes regarded the humans with unmistakable intelligence and curiosity. Dr. Chen stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly as she spoke the carefully rehearsed greeting. "On behalf of the people of Earth, we welcome you in peace and friendship." The alien tilted its head, studying her intently. Then, to everyone's shock, It spoke in perfect English. "We are the Zorans," it said, its voice melodious and soothing. "We have traveled far to meet you, children of Earth. We come seeking knowledge and offering the same in return." A mixture of awe and relief washed over the human delegation. First contact had been made, and it was peaceful. As introductions were made and initial pleasantries exchanged, both humans and Zorans marveled at each other's differences and similarities. The Zoran ambassador, who introduced himself as Sfar, explained that they had been observing Earth for some time, learning its languages and customs. Their advanced technology had allowed them to remain undetected until they chose to reveal themselves. As the day wore on, more Zorans emerged from their craft, each eager to interact with the humans. Dr. Chen found herself deep in conversation with a Zoran scientist, exchanging information about their respective worlds. The alien's thirst for knowledge matched her own, and she felt a kinship that transcended their physical differences. Jack Harrison, ever vigilant, kept a watchful eye on the proceedings. But even he couldn't help but be impressed by the Zoran's technology and the genuine warmth they seemed to exude. When a young Zoran approached him, fascinated by his uniform, Jack found himself regaling the alien with tales of his flying days. As the sun began to set, casting the desert in a golden glow, humans and Zorans alike realized that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in the history of both their species. The Zoran ambassador proposed a cultural exchange program, where representatives from both worlds would have the opportunity to live among the other species and learn from them. Dr. Chen's heart soared at the prospect. The wealth of scientific knowledge that could be gained was staggering. Jack Harrison, too, felt a stirring of excitement. Perhaps there were new frontiers for him to explore after all. As the human delegation prepared to depart, promising to relay the Zorans' proposal to their governments, the alien ambassador had one last message. "We have seen the beauty of your world," Far said, his large eyes reflecting the setting sun. "But we have also seen its struggles. Perhaps together, we can find solutions to problems that plague both our species." With those words lingering in their minds, the humans boarded their transport. As they lifted off, Dr. Chen and Jack Harrison shared a look of wonder and hope. The universe had just become a much larger place, full of possibilities they had only dreamed of. Back in the halls of power, debates raged about how to proceed. Some saw the Zorans as a threat, others as saviors. But for those who had met them face to face, one thing was clear: the future would be shaped by how humanity chose to embrace this new relationship. As news of the peaceful first contact spread across the globe, a wave of excitement and apprehension washed over humanity. The course of history had been irreversibly altered, and the true adventure was only just beginning. In the coming days and weeks, as more details of the encounter were released to the public, Earth buzzed with speculation and anticipation. Scientists eagerly awaited the chance to exchange knowledge with the Zorans, while world leaders grappled with the geopolitical implications of this cosmic shift. For Dr. Samantha Chen and Jack Harrison, their lives had been forever changed. They found themselves at the forefront of this new era, tasked with bridging the gap between two worlds. As they prepared for the challenges ahead, both felt a sense of purpose unlike anything they had experienced before. The arrival of the Zorans had opened a door to the stars, and humanity stood on the threshold, ready to take its first steps into a larger universe. The journey that lay ahead would test the limits of human ingenuity, courage, and compassion. But for now, as the world held its collective breath, there was hope for a future brighter than anyone had dared to imagine: the cosmic classroom. As dawn broke over the sprawling Zoran-human exchange center, Dr. Samantha Chen couldn't help but marvel at the iridescent dome that housed this unprecedented experiment in interspecies cooperation. The facility, a marvel of both human and Zoran engineering, stood as a testament to what could be achieved when two vastly different civilizations worked together. "Morning, Doc," Jack Harrison's gruff voice pulled her from her reverie. The former pilot, now serving as head of security for the human contingent, fell into step beside her. "Ready for another day of alien show and tell?" Samantha chuckled. You know, Jack, your sarcasm can't hide your excitement. I saw you geeking out over those Zoran propulsion schematics yesterday. Before Jack could retort, a melodic chime echoed through the air, signaling the start of the day's activities. As they entered the central atrium, they were greeted by a sight that still took their breath away: humans and Zorans mingling freely, engaged in animated discussions that bridged light years of cultural differences. At the center of it all stood Sar, the Zoran ambassador, his blue skin shimmering with excitement as he waved them over. "Ah, my favorite Earthlings. Come, come. We have a most fascinating topic to explore today." As they approached, Samantha noticed a group of younger Zorans huddled around what appeared to be a holographic display. Their large, expressive eyes were wide with curiosity and, was that embarrassment? "We've been discussing human reproduction," Sar announced, his voice pitched low as if sharing a secret. "It's caused quite a stir among our youth." Jack nearly choked on his coffee. "Excuse me." Samantha, ever the scientist, leaned in with interest. "Oh, and what aspect of human reproduction has caught their attention?" One of the younger Zorans, her skin a pale lavender, stepped forward. "Is it true," she asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fascination and disbelief, "that humans engage in physical contact for reproduction, and for pleasure?" The atrium fell silent, all eyes on the humans. Samantha felt a blush creep up her neck, but maintained her professional composure. "Well, yes, that's correct. Physical intimacy is an important part of human relationships and reproduction." The young Zorans erupted into a flurry of excited chittering, their skin flickering with rapid color changes, a sign of intense emotion, Samantha had learned. Sar raised a hand, calming the group. "You see, Dr. Chen, Captain Harrison, Zoran reproduction is quite different. We exchange genetic material through a process of bioluminescent resonance. The concept of physical coupling is alien to us." Jack, having recovered from his initial shock, couldn't help but grin. "Well, I'll be damned. Never thought I'd be giving the birds and bees talk to a bunch of aliens." As the day progressed, what started as an awkward cultural misunderstanding blossomed into a profound exploration of the nature of intimacy, love, and family across species lines. Humans and Zorans alike shared stories of courtship rituals, family structures, and the universal desire for connection. During a break, Samantha found herself deep in conversation with Zira, the young lavender Zoran who had first broached the topic. "So, you mean to tell me," Zira asked, her eyes wide with wonder, "that humans form lifelong pair bonds based on emotional and physical attraction?" Samantha nodded. "Many do, yes, though our concepts of relationships and family units are diverse." Zura's skin rippled with a pattern Samantha had come to recognize as deep thought. Fascinating. Among Zorans, partnerships are formed based on genetic compatibility and shared intellectual pursuits. The idea of a soulmate, as you call it, it's beautifully poetic. As they talked, Jack found himself surrounded by a group of Zoran males, peppered with questions about human courtship rituals. "So, this dating process," one asked, "it's like a series of interviews to determine compatibility?" Jack chuckled. "Something like that, though usually with better food and less paperwork." The exchange of ideas continued late into the night, with both species gaining new perspectives on love, family, and the myriad ways sentient beings forge connections. As the humans retired to their quarters, Samantha couldn't help but reflect on the day's events. "You know, Jack," she mused, "I think we might have stumbled onto something profound here." Jack raised an eyebrow. "What's that, Doc?" "Well, we came here expecting to exchange scientific knowledge, to learn about advanced technology. But this, understanding each other's most basic drives and emotions, this might be the key to truly bridging the gap between our species." Before Jack could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. Red lights flashed as Sar's voice came over the intercom, tight with tension. "Attention all personnel. We have detected an anomaly in the space-time continuum. Please report to the central atrium immediately." Exchanging worried glances, Samantha and Jack rushed to join the others. As they entered the atrium, they were met with a sight that defied comprehension. A swirling vortex of energy hung in the air, pulsing with otherworldly light. Sar stood before the assembled crowd, his usual calm demeanor replaced by visible concern. "My friends," he began, his voice grave, "we have made a startling discovery. This anomaly, it's a tear in the fabric of reality itself, and it's growing." Gasps rippled through the crowd as the implications sank in. Samantha stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "What does this mean, Sar?" The Zoran ambassador's eyes met hers, filled with a mixture of fear and determination. "It means, Dr. Chen, that everything we've learned about each other, every bond we've forged, it's about to be put to the ultimate test. For if we cannot find a way to close this rift, both our worlds, indeed, the entire universe, may be torn apart." As the gravity of the situation settled over the assembled humans and Zorans, an unexpected voice cut through the tension. "Well," Jack said, a hint of his old cockiness creeping into his tone, "I guess it's time to see what happens when human ingenuity and Zoran technology really join forces." A ripple of nervous laughter spread through the crowd, breaking the spell of fear. Samantha felt a surge of pride and determination. Yes, they faced a challenge beyond anything they had imagined, but looking around at the diverse group of humans and aliens, united in purpose, she knew they stood a fighting chance. "All right, people and Zorans," she called out, her voice strong and clear. "Let's get to work. We've got a universe to save." As the mixed team of human and Zoran scientists began to assemble, poring over data and theories, a new chapter in their shared history was about to unfold. The cosmic classroom had become a crucible, and from it would emerge either the salvation of two worlds, or their ultimate destruction. The race against time had begun, with the fate of reality itself hanging in the balance. And at the heart of it all, the unlikely friendship between species, forged in curiosity and strengthened by understanding, would be the key to unlocking the greatest mystery of all: quantum entanglement of hearts and minds. The Zoran Human Exchange Center, once a beacon of interspecies cooperation, now thrummed with an urgency that transcended cultural boundaries. The swirling vortex of energy, dubbed the Cosmic Rift by the joint scientific team, pulsed ominously at the center of the facility's main atrium. Its eerie light cast shifting shadows across the faces of humans and Zorans alike, united in their desperate race against time. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before a holographic display, her fingers dancing across streams of data as she coordinated efforts between human and Zoran scientists. "The rift's expansion rate has increased by 17% in the last hour," she announced, her voice tight with concern. "We need to find a solution, fast." Nearby, Jack Harrison paced restlessly, his military training urging him to action in a situation where brawn took a backseat to brains. "There's got to be something we can do," he muttered, frustration evident in his voice. Sar, the Zoran ambassador, approached the pair, his iridescent skin pulsing with patterns that Samantha had learned to recognize as deep thought. "Perhaps," he began, his melodious voice cutting through the tension, "we have been approaching this problem from the wrong angle." All eyes turned to the alien diplomat. "What do you mean, Sar?" Samantha asked, hope flickering in her eyes. "We have been focusing on the physics of the rift, attempting to close it through sheer force or scientific manipulation," Sar explained. "But what if the solution lies not in the realm of traditional science, but in the very thing that brought our species together?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "You've lost me, Blue. What exactly are you suggesting?" Sar's large eyes sparkled with excitement. "Empathy, Captain Harrison. Connection. The quantum entanglement of hearts and minds." A murmur rippled through the assembled team. Zira, the young Zoran scientist who had been so fascinated by human relationships, stepped forward. "Ambassador Xar, are you proposing we use the harmonic resonance chamber?" Samantha's scientific curiosity piqued. "The what now?" Zyra turned to the humans, her lavender skin shimmering with excitement. The harmonic resonance chamber is a Zoran technology we use for deep meditation and emotional healing. It amplifies and synchronizes the bioelectric fields of those inside it. And you think this could help close the rift? Jack asked, skepticism evident in his voice. Sar nodded solemnly. The rift at its core is a disruption in the fabric of spacetime. Our scientists believe it may be responsive to concentrated thought and emotion. If we can create a powerful enough harmonic resonance between our species, we might be able to stitch reality back together. Samantha's mind raced with the implications. It was far beyond any scientific principle she had ever encountered, bordering on the metaphysical. And yet, in a universe where faster-than-light travel and interdimensional rifts were possible, who was to say what the limits of reality truly were? "It's worth a shot," she declared. "What do we need to do?" The next few hours were a flurry of activity as the harmonic resonance chamber was prepared. The massive, egg-shaped structure was moved into position near the rift, its pearlescent surface humming with latent energy. As final preparations were made, Samantha pulled Jack aside. "You okay with this?" she asked, noting the tension in his jaw. Jack sighed, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. "Doc, I've flown experimental aircraft that defied the laws of physics. I faced down enemy fire without flinching. But this? Saving the universe with the power of good vibes, it's a bit outside my comfort zone." Samantha placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "I know it sounds crazy, Jack, but look around us. We're standing in a facility built by aliens, trying to close a tear in the fabric of reality. I think we left crazy behind a long time ago." A wry smile tugged at Jack's lips. "Point taken. All right, Doc, I'm in. Let's go save the universe with the power of love or whatever this is." As the team assembled around the harmonic resonance chamber, Sarah addressed the group. "What we are about to attempt has never been done before. It will require complete openness, vulnerability, and trust between our species. Are you ready?" Nods of determination rippled through the crowd. Samantha and Jack exchanged a glance, years of unspoken understanding passing between them in an instant. Together, they stepped forward, joining hands with Sar and Zira to form the core of the human-Zoran connection. The chamber hummed to life, bathing the participants in a soft, pulsing light. As they closed their eyes and opened their minds, an extraordinary sensation washed over them. Samantha gasped as she felt her consciousness expand, intertwining with those around her. She saw flashes of Jack's childhood, felt the exhilaration of his first solo flight. She experienced the wonder of Zira's first journey through the stars, the weight of responsibility Axar carried as ambassador. And they, in turn, felt her passion for science, her longing for connection, her hope for a future where humanity reached its full potential. The boundaries between individuals began to blur. Human and Zoran, no longer separate species but parts of a greater whole. As their collective consciousness expanded, they became aware of the rift not as a distant problem, but as a wound in the very fabric of their shared reality. With a unified purpose that transcended words, they focused their combined will on healing the tear. The chamber pulsed with energy, the light growing brighter and brighter until it rivaled the glow of the rift itself. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like the universe itself sighing in relief, the rift began to close. Reality knitted itself back together, the swirling vortex of energy collapsing in on itself until, with a final flash of light, it vanished entirely. As the chamber powered down, the participants slowly came back to themselves. Samantha opened her eyes, blinking in disbelief at the now empty space where the rift had been. She became aware that she was still holding hands with Jack and their Zoran friends, a tangible reminder of the profound connection they had just shared. Did we just save the universe with the power of friendship?" Jack asked, his voice hoarse with emotion. Zora laughed, the sound like tinkling bells. "I believe we did, Captain Harrison. Though I would argue it was more than friendship, it was understanding. True, deep understanding. As the reality of their achievements sank in, cheers erupted throughout the facility. Humans and Zorans embraced, the barriers between them forever changed by the shared experience. Sar turned to Samantha and Jack, his eyes shimmering with what could only be described as tears. "My friends," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I believe we have discovered something far more powerful than any technology or scientific principle. We have found the true bridge between our species, the capacity for empathy, for connection on the deepest level." Samantha nodded, still processing the profound experience. "It's incredible, Sar. We came here to learn about alien science, but in the end, Jack finished, a smile tugging at his lips. We learned that the greatest force in the universe is the ability to truly understand one another." As the celebration continued around them, Samantha couldn't help but feel that they stood on the precipice of a new era. An era where the boundaries between species, between hearts and minds, between science and emotion, blurred into insignificance. An era of true cosmic harmony. The cosmic classroom had become a crucible, and from it emerged not just the salvation of two worlds, but a new understanding of what it meant to be sentient beings in a vast, wondrous universe. As news of their achievements spread across Earth and Zora alike, a new chapter in the history of both species began to unfold. The universe, it seemed, would never be the same again. The Quantum Quandary Quests. As the dust settled from their mind-bending adventure with the Cosmic Rift, Dr. Samantha Chen and Captain Jack Harrison found themselves thrust into a new realm of interstellar celebrity. Their faces, along with those of Sar and Zira, were plastered across holoscreens on both Earth and Zora, hailed as the saviors of reality itself. Cosmic Quad cracks quantum conundrum, blared the headlines, much to Jack's amusement and Samantha's slight embarrassment. But fame, it turned out, was the least of their concerns. The Zoran Human Exchange Center, now dubbed Harmony Hub by an enthusiastic public, had become a hotbed of unprecedented scientific breakthroughs. The experience of quantum entanglement had unlocked something within both species, accelerating their understanding of the universe in ways no one could have predicted. "Check this out, Doc," Jack called out, gesturing to a holographic display. "The eggheads are saying our little come-by session might have opened up micro-wormholes in our brains. We're talking instantaneous data transfer between humans and Zorans." Samantha's eyes widened as she scanned the data. "Incredible. It's like we've developed a form of telepathy, but rooted in quantum mechanics rather than mysticism." Exar, who had been quietly observing, chimed in. "Indeed, Dr. Chen, but I fear this gift may come with unexpected consequences." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the facility. Zira burst into the room, her lavender skin flickering with patterns of distress. "Ambassador, Dr. Chen, Captain Harrison, we have a situation in the Xenobotany lab." They rushed to the lab, only to be met with a sight that defied explanation. The entire room was overrun with what could only be described as sentient, rapidly evolving plant life. Vines with eye-like structures swayed from the ceiling, while flower-like organisms scuttled across the floor on root-like appendages. "Holy photosynthesis," Jack muttered, reaching for a sidearm that wasn't there. Dr. Elara Voss, the lead xenobotanist, approached them, looking both terrified and exhilarated. "It started right after we used the new quantum link to share data on Earth and Zoran flora," she explained breathlessly. "The plants just woke up." Samantha's scientific mind kicked into overdrive. The quantum entanglement must have accelerated their evolution, perhaps even imbuing them with a form of consciousness. Xar's large eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of deep contemplation. "This is unprecedented. We've created a new form of life, bridging the gap between flora and fauna." "That's great and all," Jack interjected, eyeing a particularly inquisitive vine that was inching towards him. "But how do we contain it?" Before anyone could respond, one of the larger flower creatures extended a tendril towards Zira. The young Zoran, driven by scientific curiosity, reached out to touch it. The moment their appendages met, a pulse of bioluminescent energy rippled through the room. Zira gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. I can communicate with them. They're curious about us, about the world beyond this lab. They want to learn, to grow, to explore. Fantastic, Jack grumbled. Talking plants. What's next? Singing black holes. As if the universe itself had heard his sarcastic query, a new alarm sounded. This time, it was the astrophysics department calling for immediate assistance. "You've got to be kidding me," Samantha muttered as they raced to the observatory. The scene that greeted them was no less bizarre than the sentient plants. The massive view screen showed a distant sector of space where several black holes were clustered together. But instead of the usual destructive chaos one might expect, the black holes appeared to be dancing. "They're moving in perfect harmony," Dr. Kosu Tanaka, the lead astrophysicist, explained in awe. "And they're emitting gravitational waves in patterns that our quantum-enhanced computers are interpreting as music." Jack threw his hands up in exasperation. Singing black holes. Of course, why not? As the team grappled with these new phenomena, reports began flooding in from around the globe and across the stars. The effects of their quantum experiment were rippling out in ways no one could have anticipated. In New Delhi, a group of schoolchildren spontaneously developed the ability to perceive and manipulate electromagnetic fields, turning their playground into a dazzling light show. On Zora, an entire city found itself transported to a pocket dimension where time flowed backwards, its inhabitants growing younger by the day. And somewhere in the depths of the Marianas Trench, a colony of bioluminescent squid achieved sentience and began broadcasting philosophical debates via psionic pulses. "They're moving in perfect harmony," Dr. Kosu Tanaka, the lead astrophysicist, explained in awe. "And they're emitting gravitational waves in patterns that our quantum-enhanced computers are interpreting as music." Jack threw his hands up in exasperation. Singing black holes. Of course, why not? As the team grappled with these new phenomena, reports began flooding in from around the globe and across the stars. The effects of their quantum experiment were rippling out in ways no one could have anticipated. In New Delhi, a group of schoolchildren spontaneously developed the ability to perceive and manipulate electromagnetic fields, turning their playground into a dazzling light show. On Zora, an entire city found itself transported to a pocket dimension where time flowed backwards, its inhabitants growing younger by the day. And somewhere in the depths of the Marianas Trench, a colony of bioluminescent squid achieved sentience and began broadcasting philosophical debates via psionic pulses. "This is chaos," Jack groaned, running a hand through his hair. "How are we supposed to handle all of this?" Samantha, despite the overwhelming nature of the situation, felt a spark of excitement. "Don't you see, Jack? This is evolution in action. The universe is changing, adapting, becoming more alive." Sa nodded sullenly. "Indeed, but with great change comes great responsibility. We must find a way to guide this evolution, to ensure it doesn't spiral out of control." Zira, who had been communing with the plant life, spoke up. "Perhaps that's why this is happening. The universe is calling on us, humans and Zorans, to be its caretakers, to shepherd these new forms of life and consciousness." As the implications of her words sank in, a new sense of purpose filled the room. They had saved reality from being torn apart, but now they faced an even greater challenge, nurturing a universe that was awakening to new possibilities. "Well," Jack said, a hint of his old cockiness returning, "I always did want to make a difference in the world. Guess the universe decided to take me up on that offer." Samantha couldn't help but smile. "So, what do we call ourselves now? Cosmic gardeners? Quantum shepherds? How about," Sa suggested, his skin shimmering with patterns of hope and determination, "the harmonic overseers of multiversal evolution?" Hello, Zira said, her eyes sparkling. I like it. After all, we're making the entire universe our home now. As they stood there, this unlikely team of humans and aliens, they knew they were on the brink of the greatest adventure any sentient beings had ever undertaken. The quantum quandary quests were just beginning, and the fate of an evolving cosmos rested in their hands. "All right, Team Home," Samantha said, her voice filled with determination. "Let's get to work. We've got a universe to raise." And with that, they set off to face the challenges of a cosmos reborn, armed with nothing but their wits, their newfound abilities, and the unbreakable bond forged in the crucible of crisis. The adventure of a lifetime, no, of all lifetimes across all realities, had only just begun. The cosmic carnival of chaos. As the newly christened harmonic overseers of multiversal evolution, HFY, grappled with their expanding responsibilities, the universe seemed determined to test the limits of their adaptability. What began as isolated incidents of accelerated evolution and quantum quirks had blossomed into a full-blown cosmic carnival of chaos. Dr. Samantha Chen stood before a holographic map of the known universe, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Pinpricks of light representing anomalies flickered across the display like a celestial fireworks show. "It's beautiful," she breathed, "and terrifying." Captain Jack Harrison, ever the pragmatist, grunted in agreement. "Yeah, beautiful like a supernova you're standing too close to. We need a plan, Doc." Zar and Zira, their Zoran counterparts, joined them at the display. Zar's iridescent skin pulsed with patterns of deep contemplation. "Perhaps," he mused, "we should embrace the chaos rather than attempt to control it." Before anyone could respond, a junior scientist burst into the room, his face flushed with excitement. "You're not going to believe this," he panted, "but the Andromeda Galaxy just winked at us." Jack blinked. "I'm sorry, it did what now?" The scientist pulled up a video feed on the main screen. Sure enough, the spiral arms of Andromeda seemed to curl in on themselves for a moment, creating the unmistakable impression of a cosmic wink. Zira clapped her hands in delight. Oh, how delightful. The galaxy has developed a sense of humor. "Great," Jack muttered, "just what we need. A universe with a personality." As if in response to his sarcasm, the lights in the room flickered playfully. Samantha couldn't help but laugh. "I think the universe might be trolling you, Jack." Their banter was interrupted by another alarm. This time, it was a transmission from Earth's moon base Alpha. The face of Commander Lexi Zao appeared on screen, her usually stoic expression replaced by one of utter bewilderment. "Home base, this is Moon Base Alpha. We have a situation here. The moon, it's singing." In the background, they could hear a haunting, ethereal melody that seemed to resonate through the very fabric of space-time. "That's not the worst of it," Commander Zao continued. "The song is catchy. Half my crew can't stop dancing. We're calling it the Lunar Limbo." Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. "Please tell me this isn't contagious." As if on cue, Zira began to sway gently, her antennae bobbing in time with the distant lunar melody. Zar placed a restraining hand on her shoulder, though his own foot was tapping rhythmically. "Okay, team," Samantha said, trying to maintain some semblance of order. "We need to prioritize. Jack, you and Zar head to the moon. See if you can. Negotiate with it, I guess. Zira and I will stay here and try to make sense of these galactic anomalies." As Jack and Zar prepared for their lunar mission, reports continued to pour in from across the cosmos, each one more bizarre than the last. A nebula in the Crab Pulsar had started forming shapes like a cosmic Rorschach test, leading to a heated debate among astronomers about whether they were seeing butterflies or battle cruisers. The rings of Saturn had rearranged themselves into a giant game of celestial Pac-Man, complete with ghost moons chasing a chomping ice fragment. A group of asteroids in the Kuiper Belt had achieved sentience and were now demanding representation in the Galactic Council, citing taxation without representation as their primary grievance. Meanwhile, on Earth, the effects of the cosmic evolution were becoming impossible to ignore. Time zones had become suggestions at best, with dawn and dusk occurring seemingly at random. Gravity had developed a mischievous streak, leading to impromptu floating flash mobs in major cities. As Samantha and Zira pored over the data, trying to find a pattern in the madness, a thought struck the human scientist. "Zira," she said slowly, "what if this isn't chaos at all? What if it's a language?" Zira's eyes widened, her skin shimmering with excitement. "Of course, the universe isn't breaking down, it's waking up. These anomalies, they're like the babbling of a cosmic infant." With renewed purpose, they began to analyze the events not as isolated incidents, but as part of a greater whole. Patterns emerged, connections formed, and slowly but surely, a message began to take shape. On the moon, Jack and Sar were having a surreal experience of their own. They stood in the lunar control room, surrounded by dancing astronauts, trying to communicate with Earth's satellite through a series of tones and vibrations. "I feel ridiculous," Jack grumbled, as he tapped out a rhythm on a makeshift drum fashioned from moon base equipment. Sar, his alien physiology more attuned to the strange harmonics, swayed in a complex pattern. "Patience, Captain. I believe we're making progress. The moon seems happy." Back at home base, Samantha and Zira had a breakthrough. "It's a riddle," Samantha exclaimed. "All of these events, they're parts of a cosmic puzzle." As they shared their discovery with the team, pieces began to fall into place. The Andromeda wink, the lunar song, the nebula shapes, even the Saturnian Pac-Man, all were clues in a universe-spanning scavenger hunt. "But what's the prize?" Jack asked, his voice tinny through the lunar transmission. As if in answer, a new anomaly appeared on their scanners. A massive surge of energy was coalescing at the center of the Milky Way, pulsing with potential. "It's a doorway," Zira breathed, her voice filled with awe. "The universe is offering us a path to somewhere new, somewhere beyond our current understanding." The team gathered, united in the face of this ultimate unknown. Humans and Zorans, scientists and soldiers, all brought together by a universe that had decided to play the ultimate cosmic prank and offer the ultimate cosmic prize. "Well," Jack said, a grin spreading across his face despite his best efforts, "I guess there's only one thing left to do." Samantha nodded, her eyes shining with the thrill of discovery. "We solve the puzzle. We answer the universe's call." Zar's skin rippled with patterns of determination and excitement. "Together, as home, we will embark on this grand cosmic adventure." Zira practically bounced with enthusiasm. "Just think of all we'll learn, all we'll see." As they prepared to take their first steps into a reality beyond anything they had ever imagined, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of profound gratitude. What had started as a simple cultural exchange had led to this, a moment on the brink of cosmic transcendence. The universe, in all its infinite wisdom and apparent sense of humor, had decided that humans and Zorans were ready for the next stage of evolution, and it had chosen to extend that invitation in the most whimsical way possible. "All right, universe," Jack said, cracking his knuckles. "You want to play? Let's play. Team Home is ready for whatever you've got in store." With a shared look of determination, the unlikely group of cosmic problem solvers set off to answer the greatest riddle ever posed, one that spanned galaxies, transcended dimensions, and promised to change the very nature of existence itself. The cosmic carnival of chaos was in full swing, and they had front-row tickets to the greatest show in the universe. Little did they know, this was only the beginning of an adventure that would redefine the very concept of reality itself.